Ladies and gentlemen, the market doesn't care about my sleep schedule, and neither do I, to be honest, because the profit potential is too high here. And so I find myself filming at 1 a.m. for the second night in a row. And of course, my sleep is, frail at this point at best, but my profits are skyrocketing. And this is why I'm making an altcoin video tonight. I think it's worth getting this information out regardless of time. We have Bitcoin at very strong resistance on a macro scale at 123,000, but it's not all doom and gloom. Bitcoin is actually flipping a very major support zone on a more local scale than these two macro charts, but ironically, it's also a very, very macro scale. It's a line coming backwards from 2017. You can see it right there, and it's actually been flipped for support over the last 24 hours. So Bitcoin clamped between major resistance and support. And during this time, which Bitcoin has been in a short-term correction, we have actually seen dramatic strength in the altcoin market, which is, not usual at all, not typical at all. Seeing dramatic strength in the altcoin market while Bitcoin is in a short-term pullback is one of the telltale signs of an altcoin season. And ladies and gentlemen, we are potentially in an altcoin season right now. We need to discuss this today. Before we do so, go ahead and check out the Bitunix Exchange. A lot of people ask me what exchange I use as a trader. I use the Bitunix Exchange, and I don't have a contract with them. I haven't signed anything with them. I don't work for them. I advertise them on my own accord. With my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account, as well as up to 8,000 USDT in rewards just by signing up with my link down below. Why would you sign up? Well, it's global, it's non-KYC, it's never been hacked before, it's got all of the functions and pairs that you would expect for a major exchange. For that reason, I use it. And I implore you to consider using it as well. Sign up with my link to help out the channel, help out yourself. Cheers. So just to recap, it's really this line here in white that was pinning Bitcoin down for 8 years to be specific, but to be even more specific, it's this line here that was pinning Bitcoin down for the last 7 or 8 months. This is the line that Bitcoin was rejecting from over and over again. And this line breaking the other day has led to, as we will describe in this video, a surge on the altcoin market specifically, but also a new opportunity for Bitcoin to create another macro leg to the upside, potentially the last macro leg of the bull market. It depends how much time we have left afterwards. We'll discuss that more later in the video. But it's not all glory and glamour, right? By breaking this white line, we haven't just guaranteed Bitcoin's going to 200,000. No, there are actual blockades here. Blockades coming from this logarithmic regression channel, the angle from top to top and bottom to bottom, halving each cycle. You can see that angle halving each cycle, and that resistance currently stands at 123,000. And the same thing on the Bitcoin power law chart, resistance at 123,000 from a line that has been relevant on multiple of the last few major macro retests. So although Bitcoin has never been this high before, and hence we have no historical data, you can see back here there's no price action in this price region before, it doesn't mean that this $123,000 rejection that we saw was completely arbitrary. It actually came from concrete channel patterns and concrete logarithmic regression channels that we have on these charts that have been valid for about a decade or more on Bitcoin. So that level was anything but arbitrary. We've retraced back downwards to our previous resistance zone, flipped it for support. That's good to see. There's a small bounce there. But actually within the nuances of this small correction to the downside Bitcoin has seen, we've seen altcoins reveal something absolutely magnificent. It may not seem like much, but it could be an early sign of altcoin dominion in the market, and in other words, an altcoin season. You overlay the Ethereum chart onto the Bitcoin chart here. You adjust it to a similar percentage frame, and what you see is that Ethereum was matching Bitcoin all the way up until this correction. Upon this correction occurring, it dramatically outperformed Bitcoin with a very small correction of its own, while Bitcoin corrected very largely, and now it's actually skyrocketing to the upside. All of this is happening while the total 3 cryptocurrency market cap is breaking above a critical neckline of resistance that it is currently, or it was, holding since January or February 2025. That is a 5 to 6 month long resistance zone that the total 3 cryptocurrency market cap has managed to break out from. All in the meantime, as Ethereum has been dramatically outperforming Bitcoin on a short-term scale. Great signs here, excellent signs for the altcoin market. All you need to do if you don't want to get too bogged down in overlaying Ethereum charts with Bitcoin charts, all you need to really do is go to the Bitcoin daily chart, look at the structure on the Bitcoin daily chart, and go to the Ethereum daily chart, look at the structure, and you see Ethereum is straight upwards exponentially, while Bitcoin has been a bit more choppy, okay? Coming upwards, correcting downwards. This is, of course, it seems like a minuscule thing, it seems like a ridiculous thing, but in a market environment so far this year and last year, that has predominantly been a situation in which Ethereum has done absolutely nothing remarkable whatsoever. This is yet another step in the right direction for the altcoin market, coinciding with a macro breakout on the literal chart that measures the market cap of the entire altcoin market. This is potentially the start of an altcoin season. That's not all. All of this seems to be happening at the same time as the Ethereum BTC chart, the chart that literally directly measures the strength of Ethereum against Bitcoin, is seeing its first momentum shift since 2021, right? The last time we saw an altcoin season, guys, was in 2021 in May. That was also the last time we saw a momentum shift to the upside on the Ethereum BTC chart. Right, we've seen this RSI resistance zone going backwards from 2021, a 4-year-long resistance breaking to the upside with a confirmed weekly candle close. We've seen the Ethereum BTC chart on a shorter term scale going backwards from March this year, breaking an ascending triangle to the upside with a weekly candle close potentially coming later this week. This is an excellent step in the right direction and potentially even a trigger of the altcoin season. Again, reinforcing what I said before, on a short-term basis, we look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, and even during a Bitcoin correction, the Bitcoin dominance chart has dropped from 66% to 63%. You don't see that in market environments that are not conducive with what we call altcoin seasons. Okay, generally speaking, if it is a Bitcoin dominant market environment, you see altcoins correct much more than Bitcoin when Bitcoin corrects. This in itself is a sign that altcoins are gathering strength. It's a sign that greed, optimism, and hype is coming back. Retail is returning. Now, before I discuss the scale of the potential altcoin season and how long it will last and when it will end, how powerful it will be, and how to even pick altcoins in the first place, I'll discuss all those things in a moment here. I want to quickly ground you in reality, okay? What has triggered this altcoin season or potential altcoin season is simply the Bitcoin move itself. Bitcoin moving, breaking above its all-time high, doing something has led to the hype on altcoins. People are excited because Bitcoin is moving, not the other way around. Okay, that's very important to note. And therefore, if Bitcoin does fail, if Bitcoin retraces, if Bitcoin pulls back, that is a sign to get the hell out of altcoins before the market realizes that, right? And, where would I be doing that? Where would I be scared? Where would I be getting cautious? Well, in theory, on paper, it would make sense to get the hell out if Bitcoin dropped below this white line here, which we obviously are holding for support right now and previously was resistance. But I also accept the fact that sometimes fake outs can occur. And for that reason, I'm looking at this neckline here at about 110,000 to 112,000. That, in my view, is the critical support for Bitcoin to hold at this point. And I wouldn't be comfortable if Bitcoin dropped below that in context to the altcoin market. Now, I've made myself very, very clear historically, and everyone should kind of know this by now. This is not a typical environment. This is not how, generally speaking, bull markets have gone for altcoins. Bull markets for altcoins have been much better, previously speaking. We have seen 320-day altcoin seasons from the start of the altcoin season to the end of the cycle as per the 4-year cycle state range trend. That happened on both occasions. That was actually a developing trend right there. That is broken this time, okay? The 4-year cycle says we top out in October. There's debate as to whether that will be valid or not, but the point is that's what we're working with right now. That's what the data is that we have. October's only about 120 days away, so we won't have as much time as we would have in prior cycles, and for that reason, I just think it's ridiculous to assume the altcoin season will be as big as what we've seen historically. We have to be more conservative this time around. Now, with that said, altcoin seasons developed very, very quickly, and the altcoin pumps happened in a very short period of time, even previously. So even though we had 320-day altcoin seasons on both occasions, the vast majority of those moves occurred within very short periods of time. You can see the swift drops on Bitcoin dominance. And you can also see that, yeah, look, maybe we have 120 days for Bitcoin, but maybe actually we have a little bit more for altcoins because we do have a trend as well where Ethereum in purple, you can see here, overlaid on the Bitcoin chart, Ethereum runs a little bit longer than Bitcoin, and hence so do altcoins. Ethereum usually runs about 3 weeks longer than Bitcoin, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And actually during that period of time when Bitcoin is topped out and Ethereum's still running, you actually see a pretty big portion of the Ethereum and altcoin gains. So, we don't have much time, that's true. And it does look like altcoins are in a weaker position than what we've previously seen. That is true. But it's also true that we don't need much time to see something. And, potentially we can go a bit longer than Bitcoin. So, it would be something, if we did see the full trigger of the altcoin season, it does end up playing out, even though we have a shorter period of time, it doesn't mean it has to be pathetic. We can still see something quite magnificent. With all of this said, if you are a person who's looking to pick up altcoins, first and foremost, I will say, just for full clarity, I am not going aggressively in the altcoin market because of some of the reasons I've mentioned in this video. I think that altcoins are in a worse position than we've historically seen. And as a macro trader who goes off the historical data, I'm very cautious due to that being the case, okay? I'm not exposing myself heavily to risk in altcoins here. I am picking up a few, but I'm not going to be buying dozens and dozens and dozens like I was maybe in 2021. And also my stop losses and, the picks I make will be very conservative for that reason. Ethereum is a pretty big bag for me just because I see it as a low risk alternative with still a decent reward potential. I'm not this guy who's sitting on YouTube here pumping out altcoin videos on a daily basis because I actually don't believe that the altcoin market is a very safe market to be touching. So that's a very big red kind of warning just off the bat here. But if you are the kind of person who's going to buy altcoins, I really encourage you to do one or two simple things. Look for coins with macro structures that are intact, not only on the USDT chart, but also on the Bitcoin pair. This is the main thing, okay? You want an altcoin that has held its ground or even gone upwards in relation to Bitcoin in the past 2 years, because the Bitcoin chart is very relevant with an altcoin market that has dramatically underperformed, right? The altcoin market has gotten wrecked in the last 2 years. And if a coin like PEEP, for example, or Pepe, or whatever you guys want me to call it, I constantly get called out for mispronouncing it. A coin like this is a decent pick for the reason that even though the rest of the altcoin market has gotten absolutely decimated in the last 2 years, it has held its ground. That represents the fact that it's actually outperformed the vast majority of the altcoin market, which is not that easy to tell sometimes with just the USDT chart alone, due to tokenomics, due to supply changes, and due to just personal bias. Okay, the Bitcoin chart is actually the best way to do that. The altcoin Bitcoin pair is actually the best way to analyze that objectively. So a coin like PEEP, for example, or Pepe, where it's structurally sound, it has a macro flip from this yellow line, and it has strength and solid foundations on the BTC pair, is a pick that inherently is going to be stronger than others. With that said, I'm not specifically, saying buy Pepe or PEEP. I'm just saying, a coin like this that looks like this structurally, with the Bitcoin pair intact, this is just an example, is going to be something you want to look for. Don't fall for the trap of, buying an altcoin that looks good on the USDT pair, but looks absolutely horrible and has been going downwards dramatically on the Bitcoin pair, because that is a coin that has underperformed the market. And we don't need a coin that's underperformed the market when the altcoin market's already dramatically underperformed. It's like, pick wisely here. So my conclusion is, we do see signs of an altcoin season beginning here. And if we do see Bitcoin continuing to take off, I do expect those signs to develop into a full-blown altcoin season. But be cautious, watch the Bitcoin chart. If it reverses, if it pulls back, react. And this cycle has been full of surprises so far. So don't expect it to be smooth sailing. Get ready for the storm, because it could very well come. Hopefully it doesn't, but we'll see. All in all, I'm feeling pretty optimistic right now. If I can get some more sleep, that would be great, but the profits speak for themselves. Guys, thank you for watching. Really hope you enjoyed. Check out the Bitunix Exchange. A lot of people ask me what exchange I use as a trader. I use the Bitunix Exchange, and I don't have a contract with them. I haven't signed anything with them. I don't work for them. I advertise them on my own accord. With my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account, as well as up to 8,000 USDT in rewards just by signing up with my link down below. Why would you sign up? Well, it's global, it's non-KYC, it's never been hacked before, it's got all the functions and pairs that you would expect for a major exchange. For that reason, I use it. And I implore you to consider using it as well. Sign up with my link to help out the channel, help out yourself. Cheers.